Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive on something I think a lot of you struggle with, and that's self-confidence.
Yeah.
And more specifically,
Mm-hmm.
how to actually rewire your brain to overcome self-doubt.
Right.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at this really interesting article from Rich Woman Magazine
Okay.
by Dr. Marina Nani.
Interesting.
It's called Feeling Good and Happy Every Day: The Courage to Believe in Yourself.
Okay.
And, when I first saw the title, I was kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be kind of fluffy.
Haha. Right.
But I was so wrong.
Yeah.
This article is seriously fascinating.
Absolutely.
She brings in neuroscience,
Yeah.
psychology, even epigenetics.
Wow.
To break down, why self-doubt is so persistent, but more importantly,
Yeah.
what we can do about it.
What we can do about it. It's
Yeah.
a really empowering approach because, once you understand the mechanisms at play, you can start to take control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to start with,
Mhm.
the fact that you are not alone if you struggle with this.
Right.
The article actually mentions a recent survey that found 62%
Wow.
of adults across 142 countries report struggling with self-confidence.
That's a lot of people.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So if you're dealing with self-doubt, you are far from alone in this.
It's a universal human experience, not some personal failing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this whole rewiring your brain concept,
Okay.
because it's super intriguing, but I also have to say,
Yeah.
it sounds kind of intimidating.
Yeah. I could see that.
Is this brain surgery for confidence?
Haha. No scalpels required.
Okay, good.
You can relax.
Uh-huh.
But think of it this way. Self-doubt, while uncomfortable,
Yeah.
is actually a biological survival mechanism.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But then why does it feel like my brain is working against me half the time?
It's all thanks to your amygdala.
Oh, the amygdala.
Yeah, the part of your brain that processes emotions and threats. What's fascinating is that your amygdala doesn't always distinguish between physical danger and, a perceived threat to your ego.
Oh, interesting.
So when you doubt yourself, it can trigger the same stress response as if you were, facing a lion in the wild.
Wait, are you serious?
Mhm.
So my brain reacts to a presentation at work the same way it would to a predator.
Basically, yeah.
No wonder self-doubt feels so intense.
It's like your brain throws a fight or flight party over things that rationally we know aren't life or death situations.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But if self-doubt is so deeply wired into our brains,
Yeah.
how can we possibly overcome it?
That's where neuroplasticity comes in.
Okay, neuroplasticity.
Yeah, our brain's incredible ability to change and adapt.
Right.
It's the key to rewiring those self-doubt pathways.
So instead of trying to silence our inner critic completely,
Mm-hmm.
we're actually teaching it to recognize that those everyday challenges
Yeah,
aren't actual threats.
exactly.
Okay.
It's helping your amygdala chill out and realize, hey, this presentation might feel scary, but it's not gonna eat me.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Right.
But how do we actually do that?
Well,
How do we convince our brains that, taking on a new project
yeah,
or speaking up in a meeting
yeah.
isn't going to result in us being chased by a saber-toothed tiger?
The antidote to doubt is action.
So the key to overcoming self-doubt is to just do the thing I'm doubting myself about.
Mm-hmm.
That seems a little counterintuitive, doesn't it?
I can see how you'd think that.
I mean, if I'm already feeling unsure,
Yeah.
wouldn't taking action just make it worse?
It might feel that way initially,
Okay.
but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Every time you take action, despite that fear or uncertainty, your brain gets a little reward
Oh, interesting.
in the form of those feel-good neurotransmitters,
Okay.
like dopamine and serotonin.
Dopamine.
It's like giving your brain a positive reinforcement for being brave.
Okay.
And guess what? The more you reward it, the more it starts to associate those actions with positive feelings instead of fear.
So we're essentially training our brains to be more confident.
Yes.
One small step at a time.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this works.
Yeah.
But tell me more about these neurotransmitters.
Okay.
How do they actually reshape our brains?
Yeah.
Because it feels almost like magic, but I know there's real science behind it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the key players here is a protein called BDNF.
BBNF.
Yeah, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
What is
Think of it as fertilizer for your brain.
Brain fertilizer. Okay, I like it.
Haha.
It's a good visual.
Yeah.
Okay.
It helps to grow new neural connections,
Oh,
strengthening those pathways for confidence.
so every time I face a fear and take action,
Mm-hmm.
I'm essentially gardening my brain to be more confident.
Yes.
I can get behind that metaphor.
Yeah.
But what about those times
Mm-hmm.
when the self-doubt feels completely overwhelming?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a little voice.
Yeah.
It's a whole chorus screaming at me to stay in my comfort zone.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
A lot of times, those intense feelings of self-doubt stem from what's called a fixed mindset.
A fixed mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that.
A fixed mindset is the belief that your abilities are set in stone.
Okay.
Like, you're either good at something or you're not.
Right.
And there's not much you can do to change it.
I see.
And this kind of thinking can be really limiting
Mhm.
because it fuels that self-doubt cycle.
Right.
For example, if you believe you're just not a math person,
Yeah.
you're more likely to give up easily when faced with a challenging math problem,
Right.
which then reinforces that belief.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So if a fixed mindset is the problem,
Mm-hmm.
what's the solution?
That's where the growth mindset comes in.
Growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me about that.
A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities are not fixed,
Okay.
but rather they can be developed through effort and learning.
It's like seeing your brain as a muscle that can be trained and strengthened.
Right.
Instead of saying, I'm bad at math,
Yeah.
someone with a growth mindset would say, I'm still learning math and I'm getting better with practice.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's a good reframe.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
subtle, but it makes a difference.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I could see how that shift in language
Yeah.
could make a big difference in how you approach challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's about focusing on the process of learning and growth
Mm-hmm.
rather than just the outcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where neuroplasticity comes back into play.
Okay.
The more you practice thinking in a growth-oriented way,
Mm-hmm.
the stronger those pathways become.
Right.
And the easier it gets to bounce back from setbacks.
Okay, I'm starting to get a clearer picture of how this all connects.
Yeah.
But I have to admit,
Yeah.
it's still a bit mind-boggling to think that we can actually rewire our brains to be more confident.
Right.
I mean, it sounds amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
But is it really that simple?
Well, it's not necessarily simple, but it's definitely possible. And
Okay.
the more we understand about how our brains work,
Yeah.
the more empowered we become to create the changes we want to see.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not about some magical overnight transformation.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding the science
Yeah.
and then taking those small, consistent actions
Right.
that gradually reshape our brains and our lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing journey, not a destination.
And that journey starts with understanding.
Yeah.
The self-doubt isn't something to be ashamed of.
Right.
It's a natural part of the human experience,
Mm-hmm.
and we can all learn to work with it.
Absolutely. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore some specific strategies that can help you reframe your self-doubt and start building that self-belief step by step.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into those strategies.
Great. So are you ready to learn some practical strategies for building that self-belief?
Absolutely. I'm all ears. Where do we even begin?
Well, Dr. Nani highlights a strategy you've probably heard before: the power of positive self-talk.
You know, whenever I hear positive self-talk,
Yeah.
my eyes kind of glaze over.
Uh-huh. I get
It
it.
just feels so cheesy and forced,
Yeah.
like something out of a bad motivational poster.
I hear you. It can definitely feel that way if it's not done authentically.
Okay.
But remember,
Yeah.
we're talking about rewiring those neural pathways.
Right.
And the language we use, both internally and externally,
Mm-hmm.
plays a huge role in shaping those pathways.
So it's not just about plastering on a fake smile
Right.
and chanting affirmations in the mirror.
No.
It's about consciously choosing language
Yeah.
that actually supports a more confident mindset.
Exactly. It's about replacing those negative self-talk scripts,
Okay.
those I'm going to mess this up thoughts,
Yeah.
with more empowering ones.
Okay, so give me an example.
Okay, so instead of saying, I'm going to fail this test,
Mhm.
try, I'm going to study hard and do my best,
Oh, okay.
it shifts your focus from predicting a negative outcome to emphasizing what you can control.
That's a much more empowering way to think about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're creating a new inner dialogue,
Mhm.
one that actually supports your goals instead of undermining them.
Think of it like creating a new soundtrack for your life,
Okay.
one that's full of uplifting anthems instead of those self-doubt dirges.
I like that.
Yeah.
But this idea of changing our self-talk,
Mm-hmm.
it seems so simple.
Yeah.
Does it really have that much impact?
It really can. Remember, our brains are constantly learning and adapting.
Right.
The more you practice positive self-talk,
Mm-hmm.
the more your brain starts to believe it.
Okay.
It's like you're planting seeds of confidence in your mind,
Yeah.
and with consistent nurturing,
Mm-hmm.
those seeds can grow into something really powerful.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those times when the negative thoughts just keep creeping back in?
Yeah.
It feels like sometimes, no matter how hard I try to be positive,
Yeah,
those self-doubt gremlins just keep popping up.
that's totally normal.
Okay, go.
Remember, this is a process. It takes time and practice to change those deeply ingrained thought patterns.
Right.
The key is to be patient with yourself
Okay.
and not get discouraged
Yeah.
when you catch yourself slipping into those old patterns.
Yeah.
Just gently redirect your thoughts back to a more positive and supportive place.
It's like training a puppy.
Ah,
You have to be patient,
right.
consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and use lots of positive reinforcement.
Lots of positive reinforcement.
And eventually those new habits start to stick.
Exactly. And speaking of training our minds,
Yeah.
Dr. Nani also talks about the power of visualization.
Okay, now this is where I get really curious.
Yeah.
Is this like manifesting your dreams
Okay.
by picturing them on a vision board?
Visualization can be a powerful tool.
Okay.
But it's not about just wishing for things to happen.
Okay.
It's about using your imagination
Yeah.
to create a mental blueprint for success.
Okay, so how does this actually work
Mm-hmm.
in terms of rewiring our brains?
Yeah.
Is it really that simple?
Yeah.
Just close your eyes and imagine yourself succeeding.
It might sound simple,
Okay.
but there's some pretty fascinating science behind it.
Okay, tell me more.
Studies have shown that when we visualize ourselves performing a task successfully,
Mm-hmm.
our brains actually fire in similar ways as if we were actually doing the task.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
My brain can't tell the difference between me giving a presentation and me just vividly imagining it.
It's not that your brain can't tell the difference at all,
Go.
but the neural pathways involved in planning and executing a task
Yep.
are activated during visualization.
Wow, so they're still firing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This strengthens those connections and prepares us for real-world performance.
So by practicing visualization,
Mm.
we're basically giving our brains a mental rehearsal for success.
Exactly. It's like athletes who visualize themselves winning a race. They're not just daydreaming.
Yeah.
They're training their minds and bodies for success.
So if someone's feeling really anxious about an upcoming presentation,
Yeah,
would you recommend incorporating visualization into their prep?
absolutely. It can be a real game changer.
Yeah.
They could take a few minutes each day
Mm-hmm.
to close their eyes and vividly imagine themselves giving that presentation with confidence and ease.
Okay.
They could see themselves speaking clearly,
Yeah,
engaging the audience,
right.
and feeling that sense of accomplishment afterwards.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're creating a positive feedback loop
Mhm.
where the visualization strengthens the neural pathways for confidence,
Exactly.
which then makes it easier to actually perform well in the real world.
Exactly. It's all about working with your brain, not against it.
Okay, yeah.
And another strategy that goes hand in hand with visualization, is setting realistic goals.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you set your goals too high,
Yeah.
you're just setting yourself up for disappointment,
Right.
which can just fuel that self-doubt cycle.
Exactly.
But how do you know what a realistic goal is?
That's a good question.
Isn't that different for everyone?
It definitely is different for everyone.
Okay.
It's about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Goals that are challenging enough to push you outside of your comfort zone,
Right.
but not so overwhelming that they trigger those feelings of self-sabotage.
Right. Okay.
So instead of saying, I'm going to write a novel this month,
yeah.
you might say, I'm going to write for 30 minutes every day.
Okay. Yeah.
It's about breaking down those big, daunting goals
Hmm.
into smaller, more manageable steps that feel achievable.
So it's like we're creating a staircase to success
Yes.
one step at a time.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And as you achieve each step,
Mm.
no matter how small,
Yeah.
celebrate those wins.
Yes.
This reinforces that positive feedback loop,
Right.
strengthening those neural pathways for self-belief.
I think it's so easy to get caught up
Yeah.
in that always striving mindset
Mm-hmm.
and forget to acknowledge our accomplishments.
Right.
We're so focused on the next goal
Yeah.
that we don't take the time to celebrate how far we've already come.
That's so true. We live in a culture that often glorifies hustle and achievement,
Yeah.
but taking time to savor those wins,
Yeah.
no matter how small,
Right.
is crucial for rewiring our brains for confidence.
It's like you're giving yourself a mental high five
Uh-huh, exactly.
for a job well done.
And those positive reinforcements, those
Yeah.
moments of self-acknowledgement,
Hmm.
they create those feel-good neurochemicals.
Yeah.
that help to solidify those pathways for self-belief.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of positive self-talk, visualization,
Yeah.
setting realistic goals.
Right.
What other strategies can help us rewire our brains for greater confidence?
Well, one thing that Dr. Nani emphasizes
Yeah.
is the importance of surrounding yourself with a supportive community.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel confident when you're constantly surrounded by negativity and criticism.
Right.
But how do you find those supportive people?
That's a really good question.
And what if you feel like you don't have anyone in your life who really believes in you?
That's a really important question, and one we'll explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. Let's continue this conversation after a quick break. So before the break, we were talking about surrounding yourself with a supportive community.
Right.
But for some people,
Yeah.
that might feel like a big challenge.
Absolutely.
What if you don't feel like you have those people in your life yet?
That's a really valid concern.
Yeah.
Building a supportive community takes effort and intentionality.
Right.
It's not always about, like, finding new people.
Okay.
Sometimes it's about recognizing the supportive people who are already in your life.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Maybe in a different capacity.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes we're so focused on what we're lacking that we overlook the strengths and support that already exist in our lives.
It's like looking for your keys when they're in your hand the whole time.
Huh. Right?
And when it comes to finding supportive people,
Yeah.
think quality over quantity.
So it's not about having a huge entourage.
Right.
It's about having a few key people who genuinely have your back.
Exactly. And those people can be anyone. Family members, friends, mentors, colleagues,
Yeah.
anyone who sees your potential and believes in your ability to succeed.
It's like building a cheerleading squad for your life.
Uh-huh. I love that.
Those people who are in your corner, cheering you on and reminding you of your strengths.
Yeah,
Especially when those self-doubt gremlins start to creep in.
absolutely. And sometimes that support might come from a therapist or a coach.
Right.
Someone who can provide a safe space
Yeah.
to explore those limiting beliefs and develop personalized strategies for overcoming them.
Yeah, that's a great point.
There's no shame in seeking professional guidance.
Right.
In fact, it's a sign of strength and self-awareness.
It's like having a personal trainer for your mind.
Yeah.
Someone who can help you identify your blind spots, challenge your negative thoughts,
Right.
and create a customized plan for building that self-belief.
That's a great way to put it. And as you start to build that inner strength and surround yourself with supportive people, something truly magical happens.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
You start to attract more positive experiences into your life.
Okay.
When we approach life with confidence, we're more likely to take risks, pursue opportunities, and connect with people who align with our values.
Right. I've heard people talk about confidence as a kind of magnet.
Yeah.
Like the more you believe in yourself, the more you attract people and opportunities that support your growth.
It's definitely a self-fulfilling prophecy
Right.
when you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Others are more likely to believe in you too.
So it's not just about feeling good on the inside.
Right.
It's about creating outward ripples that impact the world around us.
Confidence is contagious.
I love that.
And as that confidence grows,
Yeah.
you'll find that you're more resilient in the face of challenges, more adaptable to change, and more able to pursue your goals with passion and purpose.
Plus you're leveling up in life.
Exactly. And that's what makes this journey of rewiring our brains for confidence so exciting.
Yeah.
It's not just about achieving specific outcomes.
Right.
It's about unlocking our full potential and living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
I love that. And speaking of unlocking our potential,
Yeah.
Dr. Nani brought up this fascinating concept that I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
The power of habit formation. How does this tie into rewiring our brains for confidence?
Well, habit formation is essentially the process of creating automatic behaviors.
Okay.
The more we practice acting confidently, the more ingrained those behaviors become.
Okay.
Think about it, like learning to ride a bike.
Right.
At first, it takes a lot of conscious effort and focus,
Yeah.
but eventually it becomes so automatic that you don't even have to think about it.
So by consistently making those confident choices,
Yeah.
speaking up in meetings, taking on new challenges, putting ourselves out there, we're essentially creating a new default setting in our brains.
Exactly. It's about making those confident actions so habitual that they become our go-to response, even when we're feeling nervous or uncertain.
Right.
And this is where those small, consistent actions we talked about earlier come into play.
Okay.
Each time we repeat a behavior, We're strengthening the neural pathways associated with it.
It's like we're carving out a new path in our brains. And the more we travel down that path, the clearer and more defined it becomes.
That's a great analogy. And the beautiful thing about habit formation is that it applies to all areas of our lives.
Right.
It's not just confidence.
Right. So if you can master the art of creating positive habits, you can rewire your brain for success in any area you choose.
Like we have this incredible power to design our own destinies.
We really do.
Yeah.
And speaking of designing our destinies, there's one more powerful idea from Dr. Nani's article that I wanted to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
The idea of embracing discomfort as a catalyst for growth.
Ooh, this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
And this is where I think a lot of people get stuck, myself included.
Yeah, I can see that.
We want to feel confident, but we also want to avoid those feelings of discomfort and uncertainty that come with pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones.
Right.
But it sounds like Dr. Nani is saying that those uncomfortable feelings are actually essential for growth.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Our brains are wired to seek comfort and safety.
Yeah.
But the paradox is that real growth, the kind of growth that leads to deep, lasting confidence, often happens on the other side of that discomfort. So it's like we have to be willing to get a little uncomfortable if we want to level up in life.
Think of it like exercise.
Okay.
You have to push your muscles beyond their current capacity to create those micro tears that then lead to growth and strength.
Right.
The same principle applies to our mental and emotional muscles.
Oh, interesting.
If we want to develop greater confidence, we have to be willing to embrace those moments of challenge and uncertainty.
So it's not about becoming some kind of fearless warrior who never experiences discomfort.
Right.
It's about learning to relate to those feelings in a way that supports our growth.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that discomfort is often a sign that we're on the right track.
Okay.
That we're stretching ourselves and expanding our capabilities.
Okay, I like that reframe.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
How do we shift from viewing discomfort as something to avoid to something that can actually propel us forward?
One strategy Dr. Nani recommends is to reframe how you think about discomfort. Okay.
Instead of seeing it as a sign of weakness or failure, try to view it as a signal that you're learning and growing.
It's like that saying, growth happens outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you feel those butterflies in your stomach or that tightness in your chest, instead of panicking, take a moment to acknowledge those sensations and say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling this discomfort because I'm pushing myself to do something new or challenging.
Yeah.
This is a good thing.
Right.
This means I'm growing.
So we're shifting our perspective from, I can't handle this, to this is an opportunity to learn and expand my capacity for resilience.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And as you practice this reframe, you'll find that those feelings of discomfort become less intense and less threatening over time.
Right.
They become more like a familiar companion on the journey of growth.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling anxious about giving a presentation,
instead of trying to make that anxiety go away, you acknowledge it as a natural part of the process.
It's like saying to your anxiety, hey, thanks for showing up. I know you're just trying to protect me, but I've got this.
I love that. It's like you're acknowledging the discomfort without letting it control you.
Exactly. And another strategy that can be helpful is to break down those challenging tasks or experiences into smaller, more manageable steps.
We talked about this earlier in the context of habit formation, but it applies here as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about making those challenges feel less overwhelming and more approachable.
It's like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
You don't just teleport to the top.
Right.
You have to take it one step at a time.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And each step you take, no matter how small, builds your confidence and strengthens your resilience.
And as we continue to embrace discomfort as a catalyst for growth, we start to see those challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities.
It's like we're developing a new lens through which to view the world.
Yeah.
One that sees possibilities where we once saw limitations.
I love that. You know, it's amazing how all these concepts we've been discussing, neuroplasticity, habit formation, reframing our perspectives, embracing discomfort, they all weave together to create this powerful tapestry of personal growth and transformation.
It's like we're uncovering a hidden blueprint for confidence.
Yeah.
One that's been inside us all along.
And the best part is that this blueprint is available to everyone.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter where you're starting from
Right.
or what challenges you faced in the past. You have the power to rewrite your story.
Yes.
And create a life that is aligned with your values, your passions, and your dreams.
It's never too late to start rewiring your brain for greater confidence.
Yeah.
And create a life that truly lights you up.
I love that. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive for today.
Okay, sounds good.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question from Dr. Nani's article.
All right.
If self-doubt is a signal that you're on the verge of growth, what's one small action you can take today to push past your comfort zone and build your self-belief?
Remember, even the smallest step forward can create a ripple effect that transforms your life and the world around you.
So true.
So go out there and embrace the journey.
That's great advice. And on that note, we'll see you all next time.